Okay, so here we are in the Fusion workspace. Let's get started building the drill jig. We're going to go to the left tab here under Create. We're going to go to Create a Sketch. And in this case, I'm going to want to select the front plane on the view cube, which is the blue vertical, red horizontal. So we'll just click on the rectangle there. Then we're going to go to Create. I like to use Center Rectangle. So whenever possible, I like working around the center axis. So if I have to mirror anything, it's very simple to do. So we're going to create our first point here on the center. You'll notice it snaps to it. So we'll just click there once and we'll pull away. For the purposes of this demonstration, I'm just going to use some arbitrary numbers. It's more a case of you're learning how to use it than how to actually build the actual part. But I'm just going to set this to I'll just say 2 inches. Hit enter. Then we only have one of our dimensions, which is the vertical. So we're going to press D for dimension. And then we're going to click on the left side and the right side. The order doesn't matter. And then in this case, we want it to stay 6. So we keep it at 6. Now we'll also notice that all the lines have turned white, which means that everything has a dimension and or constraints, which we will get into later, is defined. Now we need to create the lip that goes around the edge as well. So we're going to press O, which gets us offset. We're going to turn off chain selection, which would then select all 4 lines. We just want 2. So I'm going to click on this guy here and that guy there. And you can see you can set how far apart they are. In this case, we want to be on the outside. So I'm going to go -0.25. That seems good, and hit enter. Now you'll see though that this and this are not connected and that are not connected. So I'm going to press L for line. Then I'm going to click on the point there and I'll zoom it in because it's a little hard to see. Now we're just going to snap it to that point there. Zoom out. Click there and click there. When we're done, we'll hit the escape key and that clears it out. So now we've created our basic rectangular shape along with what will become our lip along the edge, which is what we want. Now we need to create the circles that are the actual drill templates, which is why we're building this in the first place. So we're going to press C on our keyboard, which gets a circle. And our first circle is going to be around the center point. So we're just going to click there. And I'm just going to set this to an arbitrary value of 1.5. So now we have our circle. Now there's a couple of ways that we can go about creating the other 2 circles, but I'm lazy and I want to teach you guys how to use the various functions in here. So we're going to go to the Create tab and we're going to use Rectangular Pattern. This is a little bit tricky in the beginning, but it gets better with time. So we're going to click on the circle here, which is what we want to create more of. We're going to go to Directions and we're going to click on whatever is a horizontal line. So we'll just click there, it doesn't matter. Now under direction, we want symmetric. So we can just pull this guy apart and you can see that I can now equally space out the circles, which is good. This is what I want. So I'll just say 2 inches works for me. Hit OK. And one thing that I will note when you're 3D printing this is because this item will be flipped on both sides, the tops of the circles do not print very well. So we're going to need to do a slight modification to them. But the problem is circles are a little bit big at this point to pull that off. So I'm just going to double click on my dimension and I'm going to change it down to 1.25. You'll notice that the other 2 circles changed in size as well at the same time. That's because they're all linked together through this little constraint right here, which means you adjust this one, you adjust that guy, and adjust that guy. So now what we can do is we can press L for line, and we're just going to arbitrarily click along the edge here. You'll see it turns into the X, and you'll notice that at a certain point it will lock itself on there. That's what we want. So I'm just going to pull up to there, and you'll notice it snaps right there as well, which is what we want. So we're just going to arbitrarily create those two lines, but make sure that these two are perpendicular, which is what that little constraint means. Now we can use the Constraints tab to attach this to there. So I'm just going to click on this guy. I'm going to hold down Shift. I'm going to click on the circle so they're both selected. And I'm going to use the tangent command, which is the only one that's activated. Click on that, and you'll notice how it's now snapped this line to that circle there. That's what we want. We'll hit Escape to exit. Now what we can do is we can press L for line, go to the center of our circle and go up to the line here and click. Give my laptop a second. Hit Escape. But now we don't want this line to be solid, we want it to be dashed. So we'll click on it and we'll press X, and then we'll just click away. So what this does is it creates a line, but this line will not be affected by any extrusions or anything like that, which is good. So now we can click on this line here, Shift, click, and we'll use the coincident command to pull the two together. So now we have these two lines that are together, and this creates kind of that teardrop shape that gives us the ability to more easily print the circles, which is what we want. So we'll hit Escape. Now what we can do is we can go and double click on the constraint here, and we can tell it, okay, I want to select two new objects, this guy and that guy, and you'll see that it's placed them over there as well. We'll hit OK, and now we've transferred these guys over. Now there's multiple ways that we can go about doing the extruding of this, but for the sake of simplicity, we're going to keep all these circles linked together. So I am not going to do any trimming or anything like that just for the sake of demonstration. Normally you would, but just in case we have to adjust anything, we can do so. So now we can hit Finish Sketch, and then holding down Shift and the middle mouse wheel, we can now pan ourselves around the object in 3 dimensions, which is pretty awesome. You can also hold down the middle mouse wheel to move it around and use it to zoom in and out. So now we can press E, which is extrude. We can select the body here, this main part. You'll notice that the upper areas, oh, something's not right. Whoops, we made a mistake. I just realized it. So hey, proof, even Calvin makes mistakes sometimes. So what you'll notice is this line and that circle are not touching. So now we can go to Modify, we can go to Extend, and we can just extend that line until it touches. Like that. Like that. Okay. Now we can hit Finish Sketch, and hopefully when we, oh yeah, there we go. Now you can see that those are separate. So my bad in that department, guys. Sorry about that. Now we can hit E for Extrude. We can select the main body, go to Symmetric, and being that we're working in the land of arbitrary measurements, we'll just say 1/2 inch. You can either do it as the whole length. I'm just going to do it on half length here. So this center part would be theoretically 1 inch thick. Don't worry about new body or join at this point. Just hit OK. Now that we have this shape, you'll notice that our sketch that was there is now gone. We can go to the Sketches tab, click on Sketch, and it turns it back on. So being that we want this guide here to be on both sides, we can hit E for Extrude. We can go back to Symmetric. This time we're going to do whole length, and we're going to tell it the whole length is not 1, but 2, so that thing gives us a nice lip. Now you'll notice it automatically defaults to join. So this body and this body are together. If we had done it as new body, these two pieces would be separate, but we don't want that. So we'll just do join, hit OK. We can now turn off the sketch that we don't need. And there we go. We've now created our drill jig. Now, if you want to 3D print this, you can go to File, 3D Print, click on the item that you want. You'll see it creates a bunch of triangles. I deselect the print utility it goes to because I don't need Mesh Mixer. Then I'd hit OK, and I can save it out. So, hope you guys found that helpful. And it's a very simple project, but it teaches you some very powerful tools early on in Fusion that we will touch on more in later projects, and you will definitely find yourself using more than you thought. So, hope you guys found that useful, and I'll see you here later.